Hi everyone, it's Hannah with Stark Library. Welcome to Cricut Crafting. Today we are going to do a fairly simple project. We're going to be creating a card. And I decided to do a fall card today, but you can really do whatever you want. Use your creativity and the skills that you're going to learn today to create your own project. The reason I chose this project today is it's ideal for new Cricut users, but I think it's fun for everyone because you can use your skills to be creative. If you don't have a Cricut at home, keep in mind that once we have our maker space open at the main library, you can make a one-on-one appointment with one of our trainers, and you can actually come in and make this card using one of our Cricuts. If you're using your Cricut at home, these are the things you're going to need. So today we are going to be using the Cricut Explore Air 2. We are also going to need a scoring stylus. I'm going to use the black fine point pen, but you can use whatever color matches your scheme. I'm going to use the fine point blade, and then I have a bunch of different types of cardstock. Today you're going to want to choose one piece for the exterior of your card, a lighter piece for your liner, and then we just want some fun patterns and colors you can use to decorate your card with. Since we're using cardstock today, we can use our blue light grip mat. So now that we have all of our materials gathered, let's head over to the design studio so we can put together our card.
For those of you who are new to the Cricut, I think that the Cricut Design Studio is probably the most intimidating part about getting started. But with this project, we're going to do something very simple. Making a card isn't that tricky, so you'll get a good foundation of the different tools that you can use on the studio. So for our card base, we're going to go into the Shapes tab, which is right over here. We're going to choose a square, and I'm going to change the color of that square by going up here, and I'm going to make this brown. Next, we need to change the size of the square. And if you look here, we can make it bigger and we can make it smaller by using this little arrow down here, but we can't really change the proportions. So there's two ways we can do that. We can click unlock right here on the left-hand corner, or we can go into more, and there's this little lock right here between the width and height size. So I'm going to unlock it right here. And I want my card to be 4.2 inches by 5.5 inches. So we're going to do 8.4. So we have a 4.2 inch front and a 4.2 inch back. And then we're going to do 5.5. Okay, there we go. So the next thing I want to do is I want to create a score line, which is going to create that crease in the center of the card. We're going to go into more, and we are going to make this the same size as our base. Now I'm going to select both items because if you look over here, the Design Studio operates using layers. And right now these are two different layers. So we're going to select both by dragging and dropping. We're going to come up here to the top and we're going to click Align and then Center. So these are still two different layers. We're going to come down here to the bottom and we're going to click Attach, which has this little paper clip. And then you can see right here, we actually have combined those two items into one layer. Next, I'm going to create a liner, and that process is very similar. I'm going to choose a square. I'm going to make the liner white. And I don't know the exact dimensions that I want the liner to have, so I'm just going to unlock it. And I'm going to play around with it until I'm happy with the size. Okay, I'm happy with that. I'm going to drag it down. And I'm going to do the same thing that I did above. I'm going to create a score line. And I don't know the exact height of this item, so I'm actually just going to drag this down. Okay. Drag and drop to select, align, center it, and then attach. And you're good to go. You have two items now. So the next thing I want to do is I want to add text, and this is effectively the front of your card. So I'm going to go into shapes and I'm going to build a little platform that I can put my text on. So unlock this and I'm going to make this piece white. And color doesn't really matter. What really matters is what paper, what color paper you load onto the map. But I will say that you can use color to tell the software exactly what pieces are going to be cut out of the same cardstock. So since our liner is white and our rectangle is white, they're going to be cut out of the same piece of cardstock on the same mat if there's enough room. So I'm just going to play with this until I'm happy with the size. You can drag it and drop it wherever you want. And then I'm going to go in and I'm going to pick another square and I'm going to make that brown. So now this square and our base are going to be cut from the same cardstock. And again, I'm just going to play around with this until I'm happy. Okay, so I'm going to drag this off for a second. And I'm going to go over here to my text option. And it opens a little text box. You can see it right down here. And I am going to put thankful for you. And when you open a text box, you automatically get an array of different options. I want to change the font size, so you can use the up arrow to increase, you can use the down arrow to decrease. I'm just manually going to guess that we're going to be at a 30. Yep, I would say that's good. And I also want to change the font. So that's one of our options right here. And unfortunately, you're going to notice that a lot of these are inaccessible to you unless you have Cricut Access, which is a subscription service that opens up Cricut's designs to you. So if you had Cricut Access, all of these would be free, but we do not have Cricut Access. So we are going to look for a free font. I'm just going to scroll down. And you'll notice the ones that don't have that green A, those are going to be your free ones. So I'm going to go with this one. And the next thing I want to do to this is the default for Cricut is to cut, except for that score line that automatically is going to be a score. But right now, our text is set up to be cut out of paper, and we don't want that. We want it to be written. So we're going to go to the line type, which is up here in the upper left, and we're going to click draw. Perfect. And then we're going to drag it back up onto here. I'm going to select both items, center it, and then, you guessed it, we're going to attach. Okay, and that's how I'm going to assemble my card. Next, I want to add some images. So we're going to go over here to the left-hand side and click images. And I am doing a fall card. And I love leaves. So I'm going to click leaves. And how you filter out the free images from the Cricut Access images is you can go down here to ownership and click free. Now keep in mind that an image you find for free today might not be free tomorrow. So it depends. It seems like they open up pretty regularly. Okay. So I'm going to choose these two right here. I'm going to click Insert Images down in the lower right. And I do want these to be different. I want them to be cut out of different pieces of cardstock. So how do we do this? We're going to leave one leaf, this burgundy red, and the other one we're going to change to orange. And I'm going to unlock the dimensions and kind of play around with it. and you can change the angle. And keep in mind, it really doesn't matter how you set up your images on the Cricut design space. The reason I enjoy doing this is because I get a better idea of what it's going to look like. Here, let's fix that. So move forward. Okay. And then I think move. There we go. All right. And just kind of play with that until they're the correct size for your card. And I'm actually happy with that. So we're going to go ahead and click Make It because I want to show you a couple of things on here. So here you can see that we are going to have 1, 2, 3, 4 mats. 4 mats total. Here we have, because we made them white, we're going to have our liner and then this rectangle on one sheet. And then we have a leaf on another. We have our base and our text on a different mat. And then we have our second leaf. And the only other thing that I would keep in mind is sometimes I use 9 by 11.5 sized paper. So in that case, 8.5 by 11, excuse me. But look what happens to the brown mat when I change the material size. It's going to rearrange it so it'll fit. So keep that in mind when you're doing this. You want to make sure that you change your material size to fit what you actually have. Okay, let's move over to the Cricut so I can show you how to cut your project out.
Now that we got the hard part out of the way, the rest of the project making is smooth sailing. Cricut makes it really easy to finish your project because it gives you a series of prompts on the screen. For example, we're going to do our first cut, and it's telling me that I need to put the stylus into clamp A, so I'm going to push that down until I hear a click. And then it's also telling me that I need to put the fine point blade into clamp B. The next thing I want to do is I want to get my mat ready. So I actually already have mine prepared. We're using the blue fine grip mat, and what you need to do is you need to take your cardstock and align the corners of the cardstock with the corners of the grid. Next, we're going to feed it into the machine using the guides that are on the right and left hand side of the roller track. And then you'll notice right here, the load button is blinking. That's your machine telling you that it's ready to pull it up into the machine. So we're just going to click that. We're going to give it a second, and then you'll notice that our go button is blinking. So that means it's ready to start the cutting process. Now that our machine is done with the cutting, you're going to notice that the arrow is blinking again. So we're going to press that, and that's going to remove the mat from the Cricut. We're going to pick this up, and something that's really important when you're working with cardstock or something that's a little lightweight is removing it properly from your mat. A lot of people, their inclination is just to take it by the corner and rip it off the mat. You don't want to do that because you're going to either rip your cardstock or you're going to curl it. So what I like to do is I turn my mat over upside down, and I actually pull it up, and I remove the mat from the cardstock, not the other way around. So there we go. I'm going to finish cutting the rest of my pieces, and then we'll assemble our card. One thing I want you to keep in mind when you're assembling your card is don't forget that score line that we created in the design studio. So all you need to do is fold over on that crease, and I actually like to use a butter knife or a credit card to make sure that seam is really flat, especially since we're putting a liner in there. And then the last step is assembling your card. I have mine right here. So you have your outside. I like adding a liner because I think it makes it look a lot more professional. And then you just add your decorations. Thank you so much for joining me in Cricut Crafting. I hope you check in next time.